I love books, especially ones about herbs, and I get questions all the time about which books are the best. And so I'm going to be going over my favorites for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. So keep watching. Welcome back to your Healthy Talk. All right, so starting for beginners, I have it's like a little combo. Um, this book here is what I would definitely recommend, and the reason why is because it has so many things in it. So if you don't have any books, this is gonna kind of give you multiple things to start with. And so I love that it does have a reference for a few particular herbs. It has a section for elderly, children, and women and men. And then also has recipes as well. I like the pictures in here. It's just real informative, and I like her writing style. I think it's very easy for beginners to understand and to get a good foundation. Now I actually did this kind of backwards. If you get these little books that she has, these are about $8-ish each. And so I ended up getting one, and then I liked it. I got another one, and then I just said, let me get this, because you can see in the comments that these little books actually do come from the sections in her book. So you can purchase, and she has, I want to say, 4 of these little books, but then you would have paid for this twice. So you might as well get this. But if you're just interested in the children's section, it's here, and it has 115-ish pages. The herbs for common ailments, this one has about the same. And then the bigger book has over 300 pages, almost 400 pages in here. So I definitely would recommend this. Tons of different recipes, and I like that she doesn't give like the basic recommendations on things. I would say she gives recommendations that other herbalists wouldn't, and so that's what I really do enjoy about this one. So I say definitely this is number 1 for beginners, the herbal remedies for vibrant health. Next, I think a good place to start is to look at the foods that you eat commonly. And so I love this trio too. The miracle of fruits, the miracle of nuts, seeds, and grains, and then the miracle of vegetables. I got this one first. Now, getting all 3 of these, the price was pretty expensive, and it went up from when I purchased this. But this is going to tell you about all the culinary favorites that you already use and the things that they do for the body. I loved when I was pregnant and I was just eating different vegetables and fruits just to go through and see, oh, what vitamins and minerals did I get? And then you learn about the different constituents or the chemicals in it and what they do for the body. And then there's just a small little reference, and it goes through the best anti-infective, the best aphrodisiacs, the best appetizers, bone builders, and then it just goes through, and so it has some lists, and then the top vegetables, fruits, and nuts, from their own opinion. So I think that this is great. It talks, and it's going to give you a background of, the herbs, vegetables, fruits that you love, where they come from, how they got their name, the different properties that they have, parts that are edible, things like that. And so I think that it is a real useful, beginner friendly, just to understand all of, to understand health better. Okay, and then I didn't take it out, but I'm going to bring it up. This is a DK, the Human Body Illustration book, and it talks about the different organs and systems. And if you're interested in the herbs, then you definitely need to know a little bit more about the anatomy to understand, how the herbs are working in the body and understand the relationship there. And so I definitely recommend getting one of their anatomy books, and I do have another one. So I have this other one from DK here. This is the Visual Dictionary of the Human Body, and it's just larger. This one goes more in depth. This one has 700 color photos, This one has 200. All right, and then also I have to bring up this book. It's Wild Edibles, and it's by Sergey Butenko, and he actually has a YouTube channel that I think is really great. So this has 60 plants in here, 67 recipes. One thing that I love is that they're really good quality pictures and up close and multiple when it is talking about a specific herb and how to identify it. And then it has recipes in the back. Now, I'm a person, I like to see pictures of recipes, but it doesn't have too much there. This is a pretty good sized book. You have over 200 pages of, material in it. And I keep going back to that same page. But I think that it's great, and I think it is great for beginners. And for myself, I always think, and I said this before, but I always think it's good to get more of a field guide for edible plants, especially for as specific as you can get it. If it's going to be, south, southwest, southeast, it's always good so that you can know also how to forage if that's something that you're going to do. So this has over 200 plants in here. And I love that in the beginning of it, it tells you the region. It shows like a little map. So you can see if it's even in your area, if you should be looking out for it or knowing more about it. Now, is it good to have knowledge of things that are even not in your area, or something may not appear in here, but it may be in your area? So it's good to know, but just generally, I would start with the ones that are easier to find. And then I have to bring this up. This is African Holistic Health. This book is what got me started and really interested in herbs, and really learning the herbs first, and not just learning, what it can do for you or anything, but really paying attention to the herbs and learning about them. And then, making it holistically for the person. So much is just on what it can do for me, and people don't really take the time to really learn about herbs. And so I think this was a good foundation. Now, everything that I do is biblically based, so there are some things in here that I just have to flip through, and so you may have to do that, but I think it's a good book. It has recipes in here as well. These books are self-published. Sometimes I have found errors in it that if it was, published by a bigger company, that might not have happened. And also, he recommended when he was alive that you didn't actually get this book. I had already had it by the time I went and saw a lecture from him in person. But you want the holistic self-diagnosis textbook that he has. It has this information, and I wanted to expound it on as well, and that his family should get the proceeds from. But definitely a great book about holistic health and understanding so much about the herb, and not and about diseases as well. I do enjoy that he breaks down what the issue is, why it happens, not just looking at symptoms, but looking at it holistically. And then another book, if you are interested in essential oils, this Encyclopedia of Essential Oils, I think is great. Now, it's not, with lots of pictures, but it goes through, pretty much most of the herbs you want to start with. Let's see if it says how many. 190 different herbs are mentioned here. Tells you family, synonyms, general description, distribution, herbal and folk tradition, actions, extraction, characteristics, constitutes, safety, aromatherapy, home use. So you get so much information, and I think that this is a good reference guide if you need one for essential oils, particularly just essential oils in this book. All right, so those are the ones that I'm going to recommend for beginners. Then, as you have a little bit more knowledge, I really like this Modern Herbal Dispensatory by Easley and Horn. I know that, I think I want to say Easley does have a YouTube channel as well. So they have recipes in here. They have a different section of reference where you can look at the herbs. Now, what I like about this book as opposed to others is that it does go into energetics and when you would want to use the herbs, like into the specific indications of when you would use an herb. So you can really tailor it to the person and what's happening, versus just doing a general, you need something for the heart. But this is just more, more specific. So I really do like that. It also has a chapter where it tells you different, it gets into the technicalities of how much, what percentage of oils you want to use. It also tells you what's the best menstruum for what you're trying to extract out of an herb. The basic preparations. It's not really, with pictures, but it does, it does a lot of different things and explains them very well without being too hard for most people to understand, I would say. They also have, so let's see, it talks about the Latin name, warnings, dosage forms, energetics, properties, tells a little bit about harvesting. So it just tells you general all around information. It just describes itself as a comprehensive full color guide to making and using approximately 250 herbal medicines at home. Let's see if I can find one of the recipes here. Balanced bitters, basic blood purifier. And it's not that big of a section. Let's see. Okay. The sample formulas is only from page 148 to 167. So about 20 pages. Rose water lotion, congestion oil. So elderberry syrup, fire cider. So it gives you, if you are new to making any kind of herbal preparations, I think that this is a really good book to start with. And then another reference, and there is a larger reference in this by the same author, Andrew Chevalier. This is Herbal Remedies. Mine has 140 key plants. I want to say the other one goes maybe into 250. You always want to get a book that's going to have at least 250, unless you're able to get multiple references like I had. Then I would just say to make sure you get one with at least 250. So it does usually spend about a page on most herbs. Some only have half a page, and I just feel like every herb you can make a page on it. But I love that it goes into the safety, and it also lets you know how much research is done on this particular herb, and then 1 through 5 sliding scale, the parts used, the key actions. It tells you a little bit of background about it, and it has some pictures in color. So I think this is a pretty good book. Then it also, let's see, in the back, a lot of times they say common health problems and they list herbs that you can use. And it gives a little bit of information in the beginning about herbs, but it's very basic. But I would say once you've kind of learned the background of, just a little bit of anatomy and learning about the herbs in general, then you can kind of look at the actions of them and what you would want to use them for. All right. So this is actually my favorite reference. This is the Complete Medicinal Herbal, and this is 200 more than practical guide to the healing properties of herbs with more than 250 remedies. Let's see, I want to see how many. So there's 120 herbs in here, but I do love that she spends a page on each one, and she goes in depth more than others. And then of course she has the reference in the back. And she also tells you combinations, caution, use and dosage. And so I like that it's a little bit more specific than just telling you the herbs. It actually tells you what kind of preparation and all of that. So this is an example. Whenever she lists the different parts used, she has pictures of all of the parts, which I love. So you can see the root here. You can see the dried root and tincture. You can see the leaf, the flower of the mullein, the fresh flowers, the flower and leaves dried. So if you want to know if you have good quality herbs and you want to see if they are as potent or, they're losing their color and everything, I love that. You can see that there. Root, leaf, flower of the dandelion, same. And then it also lists the energetics as well, the character constituents, actions, the preparations, cautions if there are any, and just basic information about the herb. But I just love that it just seems more about showing you the herbs and really experiencing the herbs more than just, a textbook kind of feel. So that's why I really do love this one. And I find that it has most of the herbs that I am interested in looking at. And then this reference, I just recently got this one, the Naturopathic Handbook of Herbal Formulas. So this is, I would say actually, I'm going to go and say what I'm talking about is advanced now. So you're not going to get colors. You're not going to be you're not seeing pictures of the different herbs. So you have to have your own knowledge of them. And then it just goes down for an herb, the contents, therapeutic actions, indications, complementary compounds. I do love that it tells you the herbs that you should put with it and everything, uses and dosage, indications. And as I said, it's not showing you pictures or anything. You have to be familiar. It also gives you a reference, the Latin names, and some ailments and some recipes. But this book is actually meant to be more suited for those that are practicing medicine, like clinical herbalists and practitioners. And so this is more advanced. And even more than this book, I really love this one, the Earthwise Herbal Repertory. So this one is the Definitive Practitioner's Guide. So again, this is advanced. This is not going to have pictures, and it also doesn't get into preparations or anything like that. It just mostly is a reference or letting you know about the certain indications of certain herbs, like when it's indicated or when you would want to use it. And it really is more of a reference for pretty much anything you can think of. And so it really breaks it down further. So instead of just saying best herbs for pregnancy or etc., it has infertility, uterine inflammation, miscarriage to prevent, miscarriage and abortion, pregnancy, cesarean, pregnancy and labor, pregnancy to prevent cesarean, pregnancy, postpartum pregnancy, uterine subinvolution. And so it really just kind of breaks it down, and you're just seeing the herbs are only referenced here by Latin names, so you need to know them. And so you have to have a lot of working knowledge, but if you are wanting to know specifics and looking at energetics and all of that, this is a really good book as well. And I think it's a really good read, an interesting read. I do like the way he wrote this book, so I definitely would recommend it. Then I have this book, which I actually wouldn't recommend, but I just don't think I wanted to go through with actually returning it. That it was pretty more expensive. Like this book was only about $8 or $9-ish, but I did get it like new, which is a good thing. If you can get like new copies, just as long as there's no writing in it, then why not pay half the price? So this is Advanced Herbal Pharmacy Practitioner's Guide again here. So this is not to teach you about the herbs. You already you already come with the knowledge here. So this is the common to Latin name section, and this is most of the book. And so, I just wasn't really caring too much about that. But then it goes into certain herbs here, and this is the repertory, and it's just telling you, the preparations that you want to do for each of the herbs that it has in here. And then they have a formulary, and it just has different recipes that you can have. So rose hip and rose petal compound has rose hips, rose petals, currant fruit, hibiscus flowers, tells you the dosage and the notes. So really simple, doesn't really give you much instructions because you at this point already have made your own extracts, tinctures, and all that, and then you're just putting them together. You've made salves before, and you're just, putting it together. So it's not teaching you anything. It's giving you different recipes and giving you a reference for certain ailments. But I just feel like most of the book was on information that I really didn't care for. They also have a worksheet in the back, and it's just helping you for the math to get exact ratios. I usually just go from the folk method when I make tinctures and extracts. So, you know, and then let's see what else is back here. There's tables here of conversions and whatnot. Just wasn't what I was expecting. Talks a little bit about equipment, but there's not much pictures or anything in here. So I just didn't think it was worth the money. Let's see. For the lymph and immune system, we have astragalus and reishi. So astragalus root, reishi mushroom, wild indigo root. The dosage is a tincture, 30 to 60 drops. Just tells you 4 parts, 4 parts, 2 parts. So you have to, of course, know how to put those together as well. So it's okay. It says it has 450 plus repository, 100 plus herbal formulas, 3,000 plus Latin to common name cross-reference. So as I said, that's really most of the book. So that's that one if you are interested, and I'll have these things down below. And then the last one I wanted to put out there, this is kind of like a wild card. If you're a person who has a lot of herbs in your garden and you don't know, ways that you can use them, and even just more than food, this is the pleasure of herbs. So this is just really enjoying herbs, getting crafty, and it has different ideas for each of the different months depending on what's in season then. And so I just love it, and I think it's just beautiful, and it just gives you nice ideas of using herbs, just not only thinking about them as food or medicine, but also for the service of man, as the scripture says. And so using them in so many different ways, they are so versatile, and to bring beauty is another wonderful element of herbalism. So those are my suggestions, and I hope that was helpful to you. Let me know if it was down below, and thanks for watching.